Hi everyone, this is your host Prasha, and welcome to Her STEM Stories, episode number 44. I am continuing our discussion with the wonderful women in engineering with Renee Fraunhert, who is a lead RF systems engineer on NASA's Orion crewed mission to Mars. Renee has a bachelor's in electrical engineering from Penn State University, and currently she is finishing up her master's in systems engineering from Cornell. And Renee is an active advocate for women in STEM. She's so passionate and she absolutely loves the cause, where she envisions a future where women and men will be treated equally in the field of engineering and will have equal opportunities. So hang tight because this is a wonderful episode.
Welcome to Her STEM Story, a podcast about real women with extraordinary science, technology, engineering, and mathematics stories. In this show, we'll talk to some absolutely inspiring women and highlight some women-led organizations in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We'll learn more about their work, their struggles, and how they think we can close the gender gap in STEM professions. Keep listening to get inspired.
Of course, thank you so much. I'm so impressed by everything I read about you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So exciting. So you're the first person who works at NASA that I've interviewed. So this is very exciting.
So I work at Lockheed Martin Space, and I am contracted to a NASA Orion mission, which is the crewed mission to Mars. And in this role, for this project, actually, I've had a few different roles. So I started as an electrical engineer and then worked a little bit into program management and leadership. So I've been interfacing with a bunch of engineers on the project, and it's really awesome.
I can only imagine. So again, thank you so much for taking the time, Renee, to talk to us. And I'm so excited to learn more about your journey and all the cool stuff that you're doing, not just at NASA but also in your advocacy efforts.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you so
Of
much.
course, this is super exciting. So, so let's get started and kind of get into some of these details. And I'm really interested to learn about your STEM story. So tell us, how did you get interested in STEM?
So STEM was something I wanted to do since I was really, really young. So STEM, I love starting off when I was 6. I watched Toy Story and was obsessed. I mean, obsessed with Buzz Lightyear. And I loved space and STEM. And then I also, from dressing up as Buzz Lightyear for Halloween for like 6 years, my dad started pushing me into space. And I saw things like the Mars Opportunity rover. That is the robot on Mars that unfortunately just turned offline. But I know, I was really sad. That I saw a replica of that when I was really younger, and I think I was around 10 years old. And I was just, oh my God, I was in love with space and STEM ever since.
That's awesome. So your parents did push you to learn more and grow in STEM, right?
Yes. So my dad is an electrical engineer, and he saw a lot of similarities between him and I in terms of loving math and science. And so he definitely was pushing me to do STEM as well.
That's awesome. So I know you've had some interesting events in your college where there were less women, and you kind of went through like feeling like you're by yourself. So tell us a little bit about how it was going to an engineering school, which was I'm sure primarily all men.
Yeah, so engineering school was obviously technical difficult for every student. So that you had terrible grades. You weren't sure how you got a 25% on an exam, um, but it made it a lot more difficult because I was a woman at first, and at first it was difficult because I didn't feel like I looked around and I'd be in a room of 150 students and there'd be one or two other women, and that posed is to give me some challenges I wasn't expecting that made engineering school even harder. One of the stories I have was I had broken my collarbone, and I walked into the room the next day. I was all casted up and everything. It was my first electrical engineering class, and there was 150 students, and I think there was only one other girl in the class that was at least present that day. And so I walked up to her and I was like, hey, yeah, so we don't really know each other, but I kind of, have this cast on my arm and I really have to go use the restroom. Like, I know we don't know each other, but like, can you please help me? I was like begging her. And it was, kind of funny. Cause we laughed it off, but then it actually made it so that woman became my best friend all the way through graduation. And that was kind of the first defining moment that I realized that there were some challenges in being a student in a woman in STEM, but also that some of these challenges came to the forefront as I continued my career. But one thing that I recommend everyone to do who's a woman in STEM is reach out to organizations. So one thing that helped me in school to make it less difficult was being in the Society of Women Engineers at Penn State. That's where I had my undergrad school. And this organization was amazing. So there were I don't know how many women were in the organization. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was nice to have different women in your classes and sort of like a cohort group that say, hey, maybe we're not in the same major, but we're still women in STEM, and it's you have mentors and you work together. You build this group of support to try to help you say, hey, there are more women in STEM.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely
Yeah, it's always
was difficult.
Yeah, because you don't know about the communities, and people don't actively share those. At least they didn't when there was no social media. I'm sure with social media, it's probably a little bit more easier. You can go on Facebook and start looking up some of these groups in your college, right?
Yeah, I think that that finding a group is really important. Whether social media can be used to find groups and the internet and stuff like that, and word of mouth and all of that. But I think it's really, really, really important for women to find a support group if you're a woman in STEM, because I really honestly think that if I didn't have those support groups, I'm not sure if I would have made it through. I mean, the technical portion of engineering was hard enough as it is, but having some of those extra challenges makes it even harder to get through not only the classes, but your career. And I think someone like me, I kind of made it from, all right, these are really hard and challenging, to I want to reach out to those women who don't have anything. I want to be a mentor. I want to be a leader. I want to be someone who is heavily involved in these organizations so that I can make sure that people like me, when I was, in those challenging situations, I can pull them out of that and say, hey, you are amazing. You can make it through this. And it might be hard. It might be twice as hard, 3 times as hard as some of the other people that don't have the same challenges. But the organizations really, really help. There was one organization that I think was also a really big impact to me. Was I was my second week into my first engineering internship. I was brand new and still in school because it was an internship. I had ripped my skirt while bending over to get a pen. I had ripped it all the way up, and I was I was mortified and terrified, and so I grabbed a notebook and I put it behind me, and I like waddled to the restroom with a stapler and I stapled my skirt all the way up. And I realized that there were no women in the department to help me, and because of that incident, I joined Women in Nuclear, and the industry I was working for at the time was the nuclear industry. And I went to their first conference, the national conference they had. I was invited, and there was a whole group, maybe 500 women, and they were all in STEM. And from this horrifying moment that made me think, oh, I don't know if I ever want to do this again. Because, I mean, ripping your skirt and having no women around is kind of, mortifying. You're terrified. Going from that to meeting 500 amazing women, not just at the conference, but the organization itself, it really made me feel comfortable. And so I think that, whether you use social media or another means to have a cohort of women in STEM behind you, it can be very, very empowering.
And I'm pretty sure your employers, Lockheed, and the group that you probably work at NASA, do they provide similar support and in how you get involved in those heavily like very male dominant fields, right? Space industry is still.
hmm So one thing that I love is there's an internal network at Lockheed Martin called Women's Impact Network, or WIN. And immediately coming into my first role at the company, I immediately joined WIN because is very aligned with Society of Women Engineers and supporting professional women in their development. And I immediately joined and worked my way up into I'm now on the Lockheed Martin Space Leadership Board and for WIN. And it's something that I am extremely passionate about. And the resource group is great. It's not just women, it's men as well, and people who do not identify. It's people who there are people in the group who are just allies for women development and diversity, and being part of the group is amazing. I think it's vital for every company and organization to have a group something like this.
Yeah, because I mean, I think it is the lack of resources, especially as you start, your families, and you start a more demanding life out of work. If you don't have these groups, if you don't have these conversations, then eventually people, women especially, may be tempted to leave because not everyone wants a challenge every day.
hmm hmm
Some people do not like that, and it's important that all of us create that safe space for women to flourish in STEM.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that women should have the same opportunities as everyone else, and
hmm
I think that having just drawing the line in the sand for I'm going to be out for this long on for my kids or whatever. I think that still continuing to excel women is important, no matter what their career ambitions are. I think that just having these groups really makes it so that they can still succeed, which is
hmm
important.
So tell us if there's someone in college, in engineering college, and I say engineering because this is an engineers week special,
Oh yes.
and yes, we kind of want to talk about more about engineering schools. Tell us if there is someone in school, because you've yourself initiated a lot of communities yourself,
hmm
including your community on social media, and please share with us the handle so that everyone can follow you. And but I do want to find out like how someone who is getting through engineering school, finding themselves in those empty classes where there are only a handful of women, because that's still the case. It's sad, but that's what the reality is.
hmm
How could they get started? So for example, if a school does not have a study of women engineers, or they don't have those resources, where should they go?
So one thing you could do is social media, and my tag is at Spacewoman TV. And what I do is I share stories of not only myself, but of other amazing women in STEM. And so you can use social media not only what I post, but there are many women out there who are sharing their stories, and you can research all of your stuff online. Also, one thing I would really recommend doing is signing up for the organizations if they're not at your college. So you can still sign up for Society of Women Engineers, you can still sign up for Women in Nuclear. There are many others. Those are just two that I've been a part of. So for instance, Silicon Valley has a Society of Women Engineers Santa Clara chapter. That's something I'm heavily involved in. So there are many external programs, not just in the colleges, that are very, very helpful for people at any age. And college is really important to get a mentor and to get that support that you need.
Because I think a lot of times that's one of the problems, that people don't see it and they really don't know where to begin. Because I didn't know about Society of Women Engineers for the longest time. Like I didn't know, and just something that, oh, it's not here, so I'm not sure if I can be a part of it. Is it's just a reminder that, hey, you can still sign up, you can still do a lot of things, even if the resources are not, clearly visible in some of these environments.
Yeah, I mean, some colleges do not have those chapters, or you can start one. Like Women in Nuclear did not have a Penn State chapter, and I started one. So you can take that initiative, take that leadership, and really build the community you want. I do know that again, I'm using Society of Women Engineers as an example, just because I'm involved with that. But so Society of Women Engineers, Stanford University, and UC Davis, I have talks coming up with their organizations in the next month or two, and I'm super excited to just engage the students, because I think that showing someone who has been through the struggle, right, and I can really say, I've been there. I know that it's hard. And so also having the college organizations interface with mentors who are already in the career fields is also vital. So I think that you really just need to research and find them, even if they're not projected right in front of you.
Mm-hmm. So, what's that one thing you would tell the younger generation about engineering that would lure them towards engineering, like especially girls?
Okay. I love what I normally tell young people about STEM and engineering is it's amazing. You could do anything. You can always build something new. So we haven't put humans on Mars. They aren't there yet, right? But someone has to create that, and that's what engineers do. They build things and go places and solve problems that have never been done before. So if you're willing to be motivated, if you're willing to try something hard and fail but keep going, if you really want something to happen, to develop, to innovate, to do new things, that's something that an engineer does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's the other part, right? I mean, the stereotypes are so poorly represented in the TV and media that it can be off-putting if you're a teenager. You can go like, "Oh, I'm not that smart," because that's something you hear all the time. I'm not that smart.
Mhm.
I don't want to be boring. I don't want to do this, and just the upbringing is very, very protective. So if you fail, women are usually not very good with dealing with failure.
Mhm.
Just because of how the society is, and engineering is all about failing and failing fast.
Yeah. So one of the along that line with the failure thing is one of my professors at Cornell University with my master's degree. His number one rule for systems engineering is fail and fail often and fail early, or something along the lines. It was. I'm pretty sure there's the quotes, but don't quote me, Professor Snyder. So he says that because you want to figure out the problems earlier in the stages of developing, so that or designing rather, so that when you're starting to develop and produce a product, you don't have to move up and down the schedule line. You want to fail all the time and figure out what works, and then you can actually make the design and make the product that meets the customer requirements and what the whole point of the project is trying to solve. So I know the quote from about the light bulb, where you say something like, he made 100 ways not to make a light bulb, but he only needed one to make it work. So I think that there are a million ways to solve problems as engineers, and you just got to find the right one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And definitely, it's a great skill to have, because life always throws problems at you.
Oh yeah, there's always
So,
curveballs, you just got to
so
keep
you definitely
trying.
can use some of the skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell us about the Junior Achievements program that you run. So I'm very interested in learning more about that.
Junior Achievement is amazing. So I'm super passionate about developing and furthering youth education. And Junior Achievement, what it does is it brings in volunteers from professional organizations, Lockheed Martin being a huge supporter of this. And they bring the volunteers into classrooms such as middle schools, elementary schools, high schools, and teaches them special content for careers such as entrepreneurship and topics like that, to make the students dream big and reach their potential. And teachers, students, parents, families. I mean, I recommend, I highly encourage anyone to look up Junior Achievement, which is juniorachievement.org. And I mean, you need to. This is an organization that changes the lives of youth, right? So one of these schools I went to, I was teaching a fourth grade class about building a business, and there was one student who wanted to talk so much about space because he saw the poster I brought in about what I worked on and going to Mars. He skipped his recess to come and talk to me about space. Meanwhile, me at fourth grade, I didn't want to. I wanted to go to recess, so I wanted to run out the door when the bell rang. So, this. I clearly felt like I really impacted not only that student, but all the students that I got to teach. And so the Junior Achievement Program, I think, really, really makes an impact on youth's education and developing them.
That's incredible, isn't it? I think that's the best part about the internet generation, that kids know way more. In some
Oh
cases,
yeah,
that's good also,
yeah.
but maybe not so good in other cases. But it kind of has opened up, so much path, like so much information, just knowledge about so many different things that they can start getting interested early on, and all these resources are online.
Yeah, I mean that's one really good thing I think about social media and the internet is there's just a breadth of knowledge that's available to you at a few clicks. And so I think that it can make a positive impact in ways such as just
hmm
simple education for
hmm
students.
And definitely just spreading the message that why we need more women,
Yes.
why we need more girls, because without um, missing the 50% of our population, not solving any of our problems, which are as big as curing cancer and going to space
Yeah.
and going to Mars, actually, and we're just going to miss out on all these, and it's going to take much more longer to solve some of these problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, diversity in teams, whether it's women, minorities, just, any type of diversity in having it's important for teams to be diverse because there's so many ways you can look at problems, and having many different backgrounds, age, your sexual orientation, all of that is just makes it easier to solve a problem,
Yes.
bringing many different thoughts and ideas and backgrounds.
Yes, yes, definitely. And education about like unconscious bias,
Yep.
and all the work that you're doing and I'm doing is more so just to get everyone on the same page. It's not us against them or anything like that. It's just we all can function and develop better if we're together, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just to educate. That's what
Yes.
you and I are doing. We're just educating.
Yes, definitely. I'm really interested in knowing um, if there's any other cool space project that you're working on that you can probably share with us.
So I mean, it's mainly focused on the Mars mission right now. But who knows what my next goal is? But I I love hearing what other space missions are around Lockheed Martin and around NASA and around the aerospace industry. So there's like InSight just landed on Mars in November. I'm not sure if you know that, but that vehicle was developed by Lockheed Martin and NASA. And so I mean there are so many amazing space projects that are going on that every day you hear of another launch. I'm posting on my
Yes.
social media. So
Yeah.
I mean I would love to take NASA Orion all the way to 2035 when it launches. So we'll see.
hmm
We'll see what happens.
Yes, that's awesome. That's really good job security. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
there's. I know that the project's gonna, go through till then. So, we'll see, and I might be able to support some other similar products. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the opening of the space industry to private sector is
Yeah.
incredible because it's bringing in more innovation, more resources, and just like how competitive these guys are is phenomenal to see. That kind of competition in a space which was so limited and so kind of uh, like secretive and
Hmm.
slow, if you will. Like it's a slower
Hmm.
industry, but it's just refreshing to see how just opening it to private sector is transforming it so
Yeah,
fast.
I think that really great things are coming out of that, and there's a lot of different ideas that are going around, and being able to land a booster. I'm sure. I
Hmm.
don't know if you've seen the
Yeah.
SpaceX videos, but stuff,
Yes.
innovations like that are important and can come about by healthy competition between companies.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And it kind of proves the point of capitalism that, if we open the markets, there'll be more competition and more innovation and, more just benefit. It'll benefit, like everyone will
Yeah,
benefit from
yeah,
that. So that's really, really
yeah.
cool. And there will be more jobs because I'm sure NASA could only hire so many people and Lockheed could only hire so many people. But I guess there's like way more options and opportunities in aerospace just within the last 5 6
Oh
years
yeah.
than there used to
Yeah,
be.
there's always people asking me, "Hey, like, where can I apply?" And I say, go to, I don't want to get this wrong, LockheedMartinJobs.com. There's always so many openings. I'm like, one thing I did notice is people are saying, how do I get into STEM or aerospace? Like, how do I do that? And I say, okay, well, it starts with either getting you don't necessarily have to have an engineering degree. You could have a business degree, stuff like that, and still work in aerospace and STEM. And then, my second question is, well, have you applied? And they say no. Well, I don't know. And I say, oh, well, go out there, get out there. You Google, and so Lockheed Martin, jobs.com. There's all different types of jobs available, and I mean, there's other companies as well, of course. And so,
Mhm.
you know there's always a need for engineers. Let me say it that way. I know I posted an article a few days ago about the availability of engineering jobs, and there's always a need for for more engineers, no matter where you are.
Yes. Yes, definitely, and it's a good time to be in engineering. The again, as you said, job industries are booming, and yes, a lot of people get that wrong. That I have to have a certain degree to do a certain kind of job, and it's more so just what you're looking for and what you're applying, what you're good at. Nowadays, a lot of these computer tests are very good at you know pointing out who's good for the job,
Hmm.
and it may not even look at exactly what you went to school for unless you kind of crack
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so it's a really good time to be an engineer, and I think it's going to be only going to get better
Oh
from here.
yes. Yeah. I mean, one thing that sparked in my mind when you were just talking is I had the misconception that if I wanted to be
Hmm.
in the aerospace industry, I had to major in aerospace engineering, but that is not
Hmm.
necessarily true. That is very false, actually. So, my undergraduate degree is in electrical engineering, my master's degree is in systems engineering, and there are many other jobs: manufacturing engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering. All of the major ones are in a spacecraft. RF engineering, radio frequency, meaning RF. So I mean, and that's just the engineering part. If you still want to be in STEM and you don't want to do an if you don't want to do an engineering degree, there is finance, there's communications, there's HR, there's program and project management. There are all these different things that are still involved in developing spacecraft, and that can be applied across industries. So, I was saying I used to work in the nuclear industry. A lot of people said, "Oh, aren't you? Why aren't you a nuclear engineer?" And I said, "Well, I mean, a nuclear plant has only a few nuclear engineers, and the majority are mechanical, electrical." So, so having the understanding that different engineerings can still play in different industries, that common misconception can be wiped away.
Yes, definitely. And that's a very important thing to remember that, again, engineering itself is very diverse. Science itself is very diverse in its disciplines. And then, again, we just need to bring more diversity into to work through all these diverse disciplines. And we need all of us together to build spacecrafts or to cure cancer.
Yes. Yes. I mean, something as complex as curing cancer or sending humans to Mars. I mean, you just need a lot of different backgrounds, and there's not one way to solve the problem, and having women and other minorities and diverse groups is really important for those challenges, those tasks, those problems that we're trying to solve.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. So before we let you go, I really want to know what's your favorite book?
Oh, my favorite book. Okay, well, my favorite book would be 50 Women in Science, I think, because oh my gosh, this book is amazing. So it highlights significant leaders in science and STEM that are on the forefront of and done major accomplishments in science and STEM. And this book inspires me to do the same as an engineer, and especially, I keep talking about the crewed Mars mission, but the crewed Mars mission is amazing, and it's going to be a huge milestone for science when humans go and orbit Mars. And so the book really shows me that women are amazing and have been great leaders, and I just want to be one too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Isn't it awesome that role models can inspire everyone of every age group, of any background, and that's why they're even more important.
Yes, it's so great to see other women, doing these amazing things, and I just want to do that too. And I
Yes,
want
and you were doing those.
and I just want to inspire like young girls and women to try to strive to do the same. If they, I feel like you should be able to do whatever you want and be
Yes.
amazing at it.
And I can sense that passion in your voice. You're very, very passionate and you're very positive. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh, this is so great.
Of course. Of course. Thank you, Renee, for your really valuable time and all the great things that you shared with us today, and all the wonderful work you're doing with so many different things that you're doing. Plus, your work on social media is also very, very inspiring. So let me tell you, you are inspiring people, and keep doing that.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And that was Renee with her incredible STEM story. Please use the links in the episode notes to follow Renee and her amazing STEM work. Join us on Friday to celebrate International Women's Day with Teresa Ambrosio's incredible STEM story. And I can't think about a better person than Teresa to celebrate this amazing day, because she is my favorite Instagrammer, and the way she advocates for women in STEM is so unique, and she is a big, big promoter of mental health and self-care work. So make sure to tune in on Friday, and if you like our show, please leave us a review on the podcasting platform where you get your podcasts from. Our show is available on all podcasting platforms, and we need your support to help us keep growing. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.